Hi, Jeff.
Hi.
With the two guys out today, is that then Osterley, Ernie, Letty, and Raymond the only ones left?
Yeah, I'm trying to keep track in my head, but yes, those are the four that are in COVID protocol currently.
Okay, and Ernie and Osterley might be removed either tomorrow or Friday. Is that also correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Is it encouraging? I think you've now gone, what, at least a couple days without anybody testing positive. That seems to be trending in the better direction.
Yeah, you cross your fingers, knowing what just the way this has gone. As soon as you think you're out of the woods, all of a sudden, somebody tests positive. But it's certainly good that it seems to have in the last couple of days subsided at least. So we'll keep, again, you just don't know. And it's almost an hour by hour, kind of approach. And as you've seen, you can be in the middle of a game and somebody can be pulled out. So you just got to be ready to kind of adjust as needed and confront the obstacles, and everybody's dealing with obstacles. And so you have to confront them and ultimately meet those challenges. And
you've talked about moving ahead. You guys need to reduce scoring chances against. What is central to doing that? I mean, you've talked about puck management, but is it also just communication amongst the five skaters on the ice? Kind of elaborate there a bit.
Yeah. Well, as you said, it talked about puck management. Puck management's always an important aspect. And if you ultimately as a player, the learning process in that is learning when to make a play and when to live another day. If you don't make any plays at all, you'll never win. And if you force the puck all over the ice, you'll never win. So you have to find that balance. And it's a balance that's a lot of times learned over time. One of the things that we try to talk about is eliminating hope plays. So if you are in pressure, you either eat it, you lay it up the wall, but you don't hope it to spot. So that's that part of it. Defensively, it comes back to really being good in the middle of the ice. In all aspects, I think our wingers got to do a better job making sure that they don't run and that they're in lanes. And I think our low players got to do a real good job of making sure that they're doing a real good job protecting the net front. Communication is a huge part of that, and we've really harped on talking throughout the large part of this season, and hopefully we're getting better at that area. But again, these are areas I know we can improve, and we're just going to keep working at it until we get better.
The whole part about learn when to recognize when there is not a play to be made. It reminds me a lot of Henrik Zetterberg's sometimes nothing happens for 59 minutes. Is part of it just something that maybe young players have to learn because there's maybe more impatience to want to do something, and it just takes time to learn that, hey, it just may be nothing. And Dylan kind of talked about this earlier about saying, he was talking more on the road, need to play a boring game like when you guys won in Boston, that just nothing, sometimes just nothing needs to happen maybe, or does happen.
Yeah, no, it's a maturity process for sure. I think when you have players that can make plays, you want to make a difference in the game. And so you're trying to make plays, and you just got to understand the things I talked about. Again, the simplest way for me is just knowing when to make a play and when to live another day, and what factors into that, how much time you have, how much pressure you're under, where you're at on the ice. There's certain areas of the ice that turnovers crush you. What's the score in the game? What line are you out playing against? Certain lines you can give up some chances. Certain lines, if you give up chances, then you're net. So overall, it's a maturity in each other's game to learn how to produce. This is the thing that most players need to learn as they come into the National Hockey League, and that's how to produce offense efficiently. And it doesn't probably get talked about enough, but it's critical. And that's why young great young forwards, it takes time for them to learn how to lead a team to winning a Stanley Cup. It's just the reality of it. And if you look across the league, almost every team that wins has seasoned players because of that. Because it takes a process to learn how to create offense efficiently, meaning you create a bunch of chances with it, or you create a bunch of chances for without giving up a whole bunch.
Thank you.
Next, go to Ted Colton.
Hey, Jeff, when you look at some of the scores last night, I mean, like San Jose and Arizona scored about 82 themselves. Do you expect the defense? I mean, kind of like football almost. Do you expect all these teams, like you guys too, just the defense might be offense might be further ahead than the defense? Or like you said, the defensive structure, you guys got to regain that. Is that probably everybody at this point?
Yeah, I think when you've been off a long time, your defensive habits aren't as good. It's just like when you don't practice much, your defensive habits aren't as good. So now you've got a whole league whose defensive habits aren't quite there. And when that happens, I think you see higher scores. That's why I believe at the beginning of every year, scores are higher than they are at the end of the year, because defensive habits, structure, all that stuff's become ingrained by the end of the year, and it's way harder to create offense. It gets way more real. It gets way more like playoff hockey. And when you're off for a long period of time, games can be chaotic. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that wish that they could always be that chaotic, but that's the reality of when you've been off a bunch. You just lose your structure, you lose your habits, but your offensive hands and that can still produce.
How about special teams? I mean, and with that time off, does that kind of hurt them too? I mean,
it's a bit of a crapshoot.
Like timing, it seems like.
I would say it's a bit of a crapshoot with that. I think again, probably depending on how teams kill, you might not quite have that same defensive structure in place either, and that would be advantage power play. But I don't know that I feel as strong about that as I do the fact, like when I saw the score, it didn't surprise me. I would say advantage to higher scoring games when teams haven't had the time to put in their reestablish their habits and their structure.
Perfect, thanks.
Yep.
Next, go to Ansar Khan.
Yeah, Jeff, I think you've only got like maybe 6 or 7 players who haven't been in protocol this year yet, but still, it looks like if the NHL changes the quarantine period, reduces it to 5 days, just for those players who might get COVID later. I mean, how beneficial is that going to be?
Well, I think it's certainly, beneficial to those individuals that would be able to get out earlier. There's zero doubt about that, and you just won't miss as many. Just like it's been beneficial for guys that have got it over this break compared to guys that had it and had to miss way more games, So, we felt pretty fortunate, I think, when Bert went into protocols that he only missed 5 games because of our schedule had slowed down a tad bit. Well, some guys won't have maybe missed any games, So, and then moving forward, there's the opportunity to miss even less games. So I think it's definitely advantageous for those players. Now that's, obviously equal across the league.
And just what has it been like, with missing so many players, just practicing on the power play? How much of a challenge has that been this week?
Challenge, certain days we couldn't do it. And sometimes we had kind of used guys almost in fill-in spots that so you don't move everybody around, you keep guys in their right spots, and you kind of use fill-in a little bit. But it's a challenge to get on, that's why it's probably a little bit different for every team in terms of how quickly they're able to get their specialty teams up and running. Going back to Ted's question is, depending on the players you're missing, and even not just necessarily for the game, but have they been around for practice? So, there's certain challenges in that, but again, we're in the same boat as everybody else.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
We'll go back to Ted Colton for the last question.
Hey, just the fact that you guys had a little bit of an optional today rather than a full practice. I mean, with the time off here, today and tomorrow, you just wanted to step back a little bit and just maybe ramp it up to 100 really quick like that?
There's certain guys, we're in a really weird spot where, there's guys that haven't skated at all, and then certain guys that skated Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Ultimately, we're going to practice tomorrow. We're going to practice on Saturday. We're going to practice on Monday. We're going to play on Friday and Sunday. So just as I looked ahead, certain guys, depending on probably their age and that, I gave them an option to be able to not skate today. Most of the guys that are a little bit older probably took that option. Most of the younger guys ended up skating, which I think is a positive. So again, it was just more looking forward than just today.
Do you anticipate those games, I guess, during the Olympic break, they're going to be made up? I guess ultimately it's going to be a heck of a busy schedule regardless, right? I mean,
yeah, I just went through January. Like January's also another grind. We're going to play a lot of games in very few days. February won't be as much, but I have no idea how those games are going to be, inserted. So, we haven't heard that yet. And then you're obviously subject to, what else comes. Hopefully we're able to get going Friday and we don't miss any more games, and it's only those 4 games we got to make up, but we'll see.
Perfect. Thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
All right, those are all the questions we have for Coach Blashill this afternoon. We'll be back shortly with Sam.